Let's turn to South Asia now, where the Indian and Pakistani armies are clashing, this time in a war of words. Pakistan's military has released a statement. They have made a list of accusations against India's army of duplicity, of delusion, and of political pandering. Let me repeat that last one. Pakistan's army says the Indian army is too political. What gave them that idea? Was it the repeated military coups, or the election rigging, or the meetings with politicians, or the jailing of opposition leaders? Oh wait, that is the Pakistani army. Before we go further, let me give you some context. This Pakistani statement is a reaction to India. Last week, the Indian Army chief held his annual press conference. He talked about the security situation in Kashmir. And he blamed Pakistan for it. He called Pakistan the epicenter of terror. Listen in.
As far as the J&K is concerned, that the violence level is not reducing. Here I would like to just say that the violence level is being orchestrated by the epicenter of terrorism, that is Pakistan.
That statement triggered Pakistan. So the generals probably got together in Rawalpindi and they drafted a statement. I have a copy of the statement. This is what it says. Insinuating Pakistan as the epicenter of terrorism is not only contrary to facts, but also an exercise in futility to beat the dead horse of India's default position, blaming Pakistan for indigenous reaction to state-sponsored brutality. It is hoped that civility, professionalism and norms of state-to-state behavior would guide the conduct of Indian Army's leadership, rather than pandering to political exigencies. I'm surprised they draft statements in English anymore. I thought they switched to Mandarin. Or maybe it's the Trump effect. Either way, there are two main allegations here. One, that India is unleashing brutality in Kashmir, and two, that the Indian army is pandering to political exigencies. Let's quickly look at the first one. The unspeakable brutality of the Indian state, so brutal that 2 free and fair elections were held in 1 year, both national and regional. So brutal that almost 64% Kashmiris turned out to vote, and so brutal that an opposition party is ruling the state. No rigging or repression. The people of Kashmir chose their government. Now look at Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. An energy crisis in the middle of harsh winters, no jobs for the youth, and brutal crackdowns by the police. So please spare us the lectures. The second allegation is about politicization. Look at the irony of it. When somebody accuses India, where does the reaction come from? The Ministry of External Affairs. We saw that when Canada made allegations against India, the Indian army did not respond to it. The foreign ministry did, because that is how civilian regimes work. But clearly not in Pakistan. Over there, the army responds to foreign allegations. It's an open admission of their political role, and not like it's a secret. Pakistani generals run the show in Islamabad. They meet businessmen, they run businesses, they coordinate investment policies, they talk to opposition leaders, and they fly abroad to meet allies and partners. And don't forget the coups. 3 military takeovers in 7 decades. That's the guarantee you get with Pakistan's army. You can bet on them to lose wars and topple prime ministers. If only they did their actual job. Maybe then the Taliban would not be running riot. Yet who do they accuse of politics? The Indian army. They're reminding Indian officers of civility and professionalism. Well, we've got an idea. When Pakistan surrendered in the 1971 war, India had to hold prisoners of war. Nearly 93,000 Pakistani soldiers. They were returned after nearly 3 years in India. Maybe ask them about the Indian army's professionalism, both on the battlefield and after. The truth is, this is typical Pakistani policy. Project their failures onto India. But newsflash, India has moved on. The people of Kashmir have moved on. They're getting investments, jobs, and world-class infrastructure. Meanwhile, Pakistan is stuck in the last century. We're leagues and worlds apart now. Petty statements won't change that.
From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, shedding light on the world's top headlines, detailed analysis on the stories that matter the most to you. Catch it all on Spotlight at 6 p.m. India time and 12:30 GMT. Only on Firstpost.